podcast, Cinderella Chats. I'm your host, Cinderella Field. Yes, that's really my name, along with your co-host, Sandy Hunter. We are so excited to be here to share some insight about life, love, and relationships. So let's get to it. Hey, good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Well, I'm great. How are you doing? It's been a while.
I know. And it's New Year's Eve.
I can't even wrap my head around it. 2023, where did it go?
The last day of 2023.
I know. I'll see you next year, my friend.
That's what I was saying to everyone yesterday. The eve of the eve.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
I trust the holidays were great for you and your family.
they were, but it just, because of, due to the fact that I was in the retail environment, it was just, I don't know. It's just like it all kind of ran together, even though I planned ahead and did all of that stuff, it still ran together. I was wrapping Christmas gifts just hours before, we went to celebrate Christmas and all of that good stuff. As a matter of fact, we did Christmas morning with the boys. And then I came home and wrapped the adult gifts because we do those separately. And we decided to do the boys' gifts separately. And it was all about Santa, and mom and dad and that stuff. So anyway, and I had those gifts. I was planned and ready for Christmas like the day after Thanksgiving.
So you had all of that time. For those listening that don't know this, and I won't mention the name, but Cinderella is an ambassador for a very prestigious company. I can say they make perfumes and colognes and
clothing. They're a big brand.
They are a huge brand. Anyway, they just love her. So them just loving her, they work her to death, I think anyway. So, but you officially get to be off for how many weeks now?
3. Everybody better watch out.
I'm so excited for you. Like I get to be off for 3 weeks.
But I can't wait. I'm just so glad this is my first day off. I'm going to do some writing.
And then you get to spend it with me.
I know. I get to spend it with you.
We were just talking about how we hadn't seen each other in a couple of weeks. It's with Christmas and all the hurdles and everything. And she did have a wonderful, cute little gift waiting for me when I got here. I'm so excited. I get to wear this beautiful scented perfume, one of my favorites, but I can't mention the name, but I will say.
Why can't we mention the name?
We can.
Well, you're the queen of everything. So it's Queen.
Yes, I am delightful. The queen. Yes, and it's Dolce, if I can dare to say.
Dolce & Gabbana.
Yes, and it's just beautiful. I love it. But I was telling her about how forgetful I've been the last couple weeks with the whole Christmas and running and working and kids and building fence and all those wonderful things you do on a farm. I'm just hoping everybody had a less eventful Christmas than myself. I hope everybody had a joyous one, a lot of rest, a lot of relaxation.
Speaking of the farm, there was something I didn't tell you because, I have so much to tell you we really haven't even had a lot of time to even talk.
No. Because one of us has been extremely busy.
Well, both of us have. So speaking of the farm, just, 2023 wrapping up now and all the stuff that's going on in the world and the political scene and all of that kind of stuff. And, I'm not really into politicians, but I am into what our country was founded upon.
Yes.
And I think that we as Americans live in a great country and we should do everything possible to make sure that we, the people, use our voices to talk about the truth and all of it, because some really interesting things have come out this year, as you know.
The truth, so help me God.
So help me God. Yes, I raised my right hand.
Right.
Did you know now when you go into court that you don't have to put your hand on the Bible anymore?
Nope.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things.
I didn't I mean, I went to trial, as you know,
Mhm.
and that wasn't one of the things. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to tell the truth.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, what is
There is
justice all about?
no unless you have a paper trail of not telling the truth. You really don't have to tell the truth anymore because a man's word is no longer there. Remember, there were mighty deals in the early years of our country that things were stamped, signed, sealed, delivered just on a person's word and a handshake.
And a handshake. That's right. Because you know what
Mhm.
that's called? Just like you have on the beautiful sweatshirt advocate and the definition of it.
Yep.
It's a person who pleads on someone else's behalf. Oh my gosh, and it's a beautiful green color with this pink. I love pink and green together, but that was integrity.
Yes,
I mean, a man's word was
was.
binding,
It was binding.
and there was accountability back then.
Yep.
And all of that stuff. I could go in so many directions right now with
Absolutely.
all of it, but I want to stay focused on where we are. I mean, I have never seen anything like our political landscape is right now. I mean, you've got the current president,
Right.
Sleepy Joe. Yeah, Sleepy
Oh,
Joe.
bless his heart.
I know. I mean, if I were his wife, I would just,
If I was his wife, I would be ashamed of myself for letting my husband fall over the stages, fall up going up the stairs going up, just letting him get out in front of people and let them just rip him apart. That is somebody's son, grandfather, dad. He, to me, this is not proven. Disclaimer at the bottom. I would say, in my own opinion, which doesn't mean anything, but he has onset of dementia. He doesn't even know where he's at half the time or who he's shaking hands with. Nobody standing
well, I
there.
just have to spat your hand right now and say, disclaimer, my opinion does not matter. Your opinion does matter. And that's one of the attitudes that we have to get rid of.
Ooh, look here, I'm getting schooled. Okay, so I can be rather a matter of fact,
Yeah, I like that.
but for giving people the benefit of the doubt, which is hard to give our government right now the benefit of the doubt, not really sure what this year is going to bring. I don't like going into it knowing where we are with Israel, where we sit with China and the other, was it 13 that have kind of climbed together? China and Russia and Iraq and Iran. There's just a little,
Don't forget Ukraine.
yeah, there's a little body of them. No, I'm talking about the ones that are rising up, you know,
Oh,
and not really sure. It's almost like you're just waiting for the next shoe to fall. I don't like that feeling. It's almost an easy feeling. Usually going into a new year, you're like, okay, whew, got that year over with. Don't want to have another year like that. And I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then after New Year's Eve, we're standing in 2024. And I just feel like we're kind of on shaky ground. Don't know.
kind of. We've been on shaky ground. You know what really is the truth? You know that have a huge crush on Tucker Carlson. I'm
Carlson.
just
Yes,
going to
she
say.
does. Everybody, she does.
Yes. You know why? Because first of all, he's adorable and he's funny, he's witty, he's so intelligent,
Oh, his intellect is by far.
but he's very humble.
Hmm.
And I mean, he will even say he's got a new media company. Thank
Hmm.
goodness, because when Fox fired him, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Because that's the only reason I really watched him
Right.
was because he was always just so truthful about things. And
Hmm.
I wondered the entire time how he got away with that. And then he finally was fired.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, I think that was the biggest mistake they ever made.
Hmm.
But I mean, if people think that Fox is really a conservative news network, and I mean, just watch it sometimes and watch the stuff that they have on it. I'm not saying that some of those people that work there aren't conservative, but
Right.
I'm just saying it's not owned by a conservative person.
No, and I think the Federal Trade Commission has gotten so laxed even since when I was in radio, I mean, there were so many things you couldn't say, so many things you couldn't do. And now, I'm going to blame it all on Howard Stern because he used to get fined every other week for something big amount. So now they just pass out fines and give little slaps on the hand, I think. And, everything's good. So I just don't know I don't trust the media. And
You shouldn't.
That's just my opinion. I don't trust the media. I just
Tucker
don't know.
Carlson says you shouldn't, and I'm pretty sure if Tucker Carlson says you shouldn't, you shouldn't do it. No, I mean, you know what's so great about him? He doesn't leave anything off the table. I mean, he even talks about aliens, and he had Alex Jones on there. I didn't even know who Alex Jones was, and it was just.
Why don't you tell our listeners who Alex Jones is?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't have a clue.
Well, he's let's just say this. He has been able to predict things.
Oh, we did talk about this, kind of like Nostradamus. I remember our conversation. Yeah, we talked about, he was kind of given the what's and ifs that were to come, possibly.
And he's been correct about all of it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. And I mean, Tucker went into, talking about how do you know all these things and that sort of thing. And he just went into, well, if you read, this, I mean, and this document and this document and this document, I mean, it's kind of obvious where things are going. I mean, it's not like he is some.
Yeah, not rocket science if you paid attention, probably.
That's what he says. So, but he lives very low key. I mean, he has been sued. So I'll probably just, instead of going into, because it would take too long to really explain who he is and all of that stuff, I'll just put it on the website.
Oh, that'd be great.
And then you can go have a look at it, the link, to the interview.
I don't usually get too caught up in that kind of stuff, but sometimes when I sit back and think about things, because I did all that research and did all that stuff on different religions before. Well, I like to, if I don't know something about something, I'll go right to the source and start researching it for myself. Well, for a few years, I always piqued my curiosity. This has been about 12 years ago. I just didn't understand what the Mormon religion was about. And I started watching some things. My grandparents lived on a farm. They lived next door to some Amish people. And so I didn't know much about Amish. So to make a long story short, decided I was just going to do this study on all these different religions. And I did. And I will tell you, it's very enlightening. So we talk about stuff in which it is our opinion. Fish for yourself. Find this gentleman that Cinderella is talking about and go look and see what you think. Because I've studied and read things done by Nostradamus before, and I'm a Christian. That doesn't mean that I believe everything, but it's very
eerie.
Yes, how a lot of things that he predicted came to pass. So was he a person that God put on this earth that was, what do you call him?
Prophetic.
A prophetic person. Who knows?
And that's what they said that Alex Jones was prophetic.
Yeah. So, and we just have to trust in the Lord and think if he's sending someone that's trying to give us a heads up, we might ought to pay attention. Because I do know that even the Bible in the back in Revelations, we know that was a dream, but in that dream, it was very prophetic. And there was speaking of the sickle and the bear. And I mean, very easily they could be depicted as Russia and China right now. So we either, like you always say, we either have to believe all the Bible or none of it. So in 2024, it's just kind of like, what's to come?
What is to come? Because you know what I always say? These are my famous last words. None of us will even know until we take our last breath. And we're not coming back to talk about it.
Nope.
So that's the truth. So that's why you have to really, pay attention within yourself and, research things and then just say, what about this is true?
Right.
That's why I like Tucker Carlson so much
Mhm.
because he has started really talking about what's going on. There really is this thing called the deep state.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I didn't really believe that you know, my children, when I started this stuff in 2020, because they furloughed me and I was off and
Mhm.
the vaccine thing started and no toilet tissue or paper towels. And so I called
Isn't that crazy?
I know. That would be what they would go and get first. I understand the toilet tissue. Anyway, it's just, none of us really know the truth about anything. That's why I like Tucker Carlson so
Right.
much.
Right.
So in 2024, I signed up for a subscription to listen to him to everything because people were promoting him and all of that stuff. So I suggest it's $6 a month, which is $72 a year.
Which is 15 trips to QT with my children.
And how many Starbucks?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Do you want to kind of know what's
No.
going on from a person that has committed, humbly committed to telling the truth?
Which is
Because
such a rarity, and it's so nice, and one has to keep in mind this is his truth, which means that, again, if you hear something and you're kind of, "What now?" Dig it out for yourself. Go look it up.
but wait a minute. Tucker Carlson grew up in a very affluent family
Yep.
in a very liberal state,
Mhm.
California.
Mhm.
And the interview that I listened to him talk about the Bushes, I was really, really shocked because I've always loved the Bushes,
Mhm.
but no, 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 we should not have loved the Bushes. And it just brought me to the realization about what is real.
Right.
What is real in the United States? Who does run our country? Not that I thought the president setting up there was running our country with all the voting stuff and everything else. Do we really have any rights?
Well, I will tell you that I was concerned from the word go. Maybe cautious, maybe is a better word, not necessarily concerned, because when he was up there and doing everything Trump had done by his executive orders, I'm not really for sure, and I'm sure this was on, well, obviously it wasn't on CNN, but it was on Fox, where one of the reporters had their open mic. He didn't realize that he was being heard.
Biden,
And
you mean?
yeah, by
Mhm.
the media. And so he's signing and he looks over and he says, "What is this I'm signing again?" He said to somebody. I thought, oh, great. This
Well,
is right out the gate.
supposedly he's on all sorts of drugs.
Yeah.
And supposedly he gets up in the middle of the night and walks around the White House with no clothing on at all
Wow.
and kicks the dog. This is on Tucker Carlson's interview.
Hmm.
And
Well, and
it's
you don't even have
just,
to take the word for somebody else. I mean,
but that's dementia. That's just
yes, it's
all
horrible.
common with dementia.
You can get on YouTube and look at President Biden's faux pas, if you want to call them. But the one that hurt my heart the worst, not the tripping and falling, even though he's done that like, I don't know, 15 times. But his wife was speaking to, I don't know if she's speaking to the media, she's speaking to a group of people, and he was standing up beside her. And all of a sudden, this one I knew something was really wrong. And this was a couple years ago. All of a sudden, he stops and he starts looking up at the sky. He turns around and just walks off while she's talking. And he's standing
Now I
behind
haven't
her,
seen that.
looking up
Seriously.
and looking around. And she's kind of looking, trying to look over her shoulder to see where he has wandered off to. And I thought, oh my gosh, right in the middle of her speaking. Right then, I knew there's something wrong. And if there was ever a time that we did not need to show as a country any kind of weakness in our seated presidency, it was an awful, awful time because it's almost like after these little things started happening, then Russia starts flexing their muscle, and then you get the invasion of Ukraine. Then you have all these things start happening, and then we have North Korea over there, constantly messing with us by firing missiles into the ocean.
And don't forget about those big white balloons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he let that thing go all the way across the country almost. So it's almost like they're testing, as if somebody, now listen, we can get political. I'm not personally, if I knew Trump, would I ever think that he and I would be friends? Because I don't like certain arrogancy that he carries.
Well, see, that doesn't bother me. I don't like the fact that he was married as many times as he was.
Right.
And that, he was caught on tape, audio tape, about some of the things that he said. But I mean, men in that position and with that
he's
much
not the
money,
only one. Are you kidding me?
No. I mean, come on, Sandy, we could go into all of that stuff
he's
right now.
just more flamboyant about it. And where I was going with that
but he has changed. He has changed.
Right.
And at least he tells the truth.
Right. And that's where I was going with this.
And he knows how to run a business.
I'm not saying I don't. I like the businessman that he is. I like where our country was at when he was running. And I like the fact that he doesn't take crap off people.
Well, because he had done business with all of these people.
Yes.
So he's a businessman and he knows how to deal with them.
Right. And so I could forego anything that he could possibly say. But I told Aaron in the last election, I said, if he would have just stood up there and not said a whole lot.
Oh my gosh.
It could have played out. We wouldn't be in this mess with Biden. But then again, that's
gosh. I mean, yes. And I hear a lot of people say that have degrees and everything else. I don't like the way he talks. I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh, really? Do you like the fact that Biden can't talk?
Well, no,
can't
it's
walk?
not that. It's the stuff against his arrogancy with the women and that kind of thing. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff.
But how does he, I mean, he's very supportive of women.
No, I'm talking about just the womanizing. I don't like that. I don't like the cheating on each spouse that he's had.
Well, I don't like that either.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't like
for that.
But let me just point this out because I detest cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Do I not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't stand it.
Right.
Because it happened to me.
Right.
So, I mean, anyway, but I mean, one of the things that I will say about Trump, okay, is he's never smoked. He's never drank. He's never done any drugs. And you never hear his children come out and publicly say anything bad about him. Now, do you? Or any of his ex-wives, do you?
No.
Okay. What does that say about him?
I'm not questioning his integrity as our president, because I wouldn't do that, because I mean, when somebody holds that office, like the way they're treating him now right now is just ludicrous. I don't even want to talk about how they're treating him now. I think it's just dumb. It's a waste of taxpayers' money, and it just makes me crazy.
You know why they're doing it? Because they're scared to death of him.
Well, they know that he will win. And what makes me nervous is you have Colorado over here, you have Maine, who now are saying that he's not going to be put on the ballot, the presidential ballot for this 2024 election year. I'm like, well, great. We're just going to have a civil war right here in the middle of our country.
Well, that is one of the things that have been said.
If something happens. So I personally would feel more comfortable if he was back in office, considering where we're at right now, because he provided a blanket of safety that I felt comfortable under, as far as our military goes, as far as our finances for our country goes, as far as our unemployment, and as far as just, there were so many things that he did good. And I think people are forgetting about that. I think some people, naysayers, can't get past the arrogancy that he carries, but that's just him. And like I've said, that's just the one part about him that I can understand why people would say, ugh, I can't stand the guy. I get it. He's one of those people you either like or you don't. There's not a happy medium with Trump. You either like him or you don't.
Okay. So that whole thing has just been, it's just been horrific. And I do believe it's very, very possible that the election was rigged because, common sense would tell you, remember Biden's, tour around everything when they took him out of the basement, would let him out every once in a while. You would see about 12 to 24 people there and you would hear cars in the background, honk, honk, honk. Really? And then Trump, you couldn't hear him talk because there were so many people there yelling and screaming. You couldn't even get anywhere close to his rally.
Right.
Okay. Because there were thousands and tens of thousands of people there. So Hong Kong versus that. Come on, really? And now here's who we have. We have Nikki Haley. No. Did you know Nikki Haley is a billionaire?
Oh, yeah.
Has a big old mansion. Who paid for that stuff? Okay, so we have her. Now,
DeSantis.
Now, granted, oh my gosh, she is super intelligent, very well spoken, very educated on, the subjects that they talk about.
Right.
And then we have DeSantis, Kennedy, which everybody, either he's been called, he's against vaccines in totality. No, he tells the truth about that. Okay. And I won't even go down that road.
Right.
But go listen to him. But he's no saint, is he?
Oh, none of them are.
Okay. No, none of
them are.
And then we've got Vivek, Ramaswamy. I hope I said that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize, sir. But I like him.
Listen.
I like him a lot.
I like him. Unfortunately, his age is what's really kicking him in the tail right now because a lot of people don't trust the youth of it.
I would like to see him as the vice president.
I think you should have a
Trump and Ramaswamy. Trump would have a blast with that, wouldn't he?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I wouldn't even mind seeing Trump with Nikki Haley or
Oh, no. You do not want Nikki Haley up there. I'm just telling you.
Well,
no, I know too much about Nikki Haley. Go listen to Tucker.
No,
everybody go listen to Tucker.
That we have right now, and nothing could be worse than Kamala. I don't want to say her how most people normally
supposedly Nikki Haley is not a good deal.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah,
Tucker Carlson says no to Nikki Haley.
Well, you don't want her as president, but there's nothing.
Or vice president.
Do you think Trump would really let her run over him? No, there would be no worries there whatsoever.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad to.
And she's a woman. Yeah, no, he would never let a woman run over him and pull anything over him. Never in a million years.
Well,
I was only simply thinking because there's so many women movements out there that would like to see a woman president. Thank God Hillary has gotten too old. We don't have to deal with her anymore. Bless her little heart.
Thank you, Jesus.
But anyway, this has been great conversation. Looking forward to 2024, not still on the outs about what to expect. This is the first time I've ever went into a new year without, I don't want to say goals for our country or things I'd like to see happen in our government.
Especially in an election year.
Yes, but it's just crazy. It's a weird feeling right now. You said it earlier. One of your, I can't remember who you were talking to, said it's a time of year where we just, an uneasiness or
there's a big uneasiness.
Yeah, I can't remember what you said. Just something.
I said it's a shift show.
Shift show.
We're headed for a shift show.
Shift show is good. It is good.
So I don't know. I just know that we should all stay as informed as possible, keep our eyes open and our ears very open.
Amen.
And just inform yourself of all of these people. And I have to say this because Tucker, talked about Elon Musk. I have to say this before we say goodbye for this week. But Elon Musk, I mean, I just kind of like him really. And he's an odd duck for sure, but he's very intelligent. And the fact that he is not afraid to what he did with the journalist that interviewed him. And this is what he said. He said it, plus he stuck those two middle fingers up and said, "Don't threaten me by taking advertising dollars away from me. I don't care about your money." And he said what he said, I'm not going to do it, but
why would he care?
Yeah.
When you got more money than God. Why would he care?
Well, no, he doesn't. So he said, fudge you. I mean, I'll just say it like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to experience something that we have never experienced in our lifetime. And I just say, everyone needs to be as prepared as possible.
Yeah, there may be a new sheriff in town. You don't know.
Exactly.
As long as we get the old one, bless his heart, out the door. At this point in time, I'm like, that's what I told my husband, that what really? I mean, what could we really be messing up? We're in such a mess right now.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, it is horrible. I just want to see some integrity brought back to our country, some morality brought back to our country, some sensibility.
Accountability.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and did you know, I heard that Governor Stitt has either signed this into being effective or has it sitting on his desk to make gold and silver an acceptable currency in the state of Oklahoma. Now, when something like that happens here, doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, it's biblical stuff.
Uh-huh.
Tells me that's just one more thing. Check.
So Sandy and I'm looking forward to 2024 because you might as well be positive about it.
Absolutely.
And I hope you are as well. And stay tuned in with us because it's going to be a bumpy ride and we're going to go right along with it and talk about all those things. And don't forget to subscribe to us because you're not going to want to miss anything. And then go subscribe to Tucker Carlson, seriously, because he's the most fascinating, interesting person. And I think he should win Man of the Year for 2024.
Oh, great. That would be Cinderella's wonderful thing for 2024, her crush to win Man of the Year.
Well, I mean, who ended up on Time Magazine cover this year?
Right.
Taylor Swift. I mean,
yep.
So, I mean, come on, Tucker. Tucker's telling the truth.
Yes, he is.
So,
hey, listen, also for a personal note, it is New Year's Eve.
Yes.
So everyone eat those black eyed peas tomorrow and stay safe. And
no drinking and driving.
Oh yeah. None of that stuff. It's going to hurt your pocketbook for sure.
Right.
But be safe and we'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are having champagne, here's a toast to the new year, 2024. Cheers. See you next time. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear from us.
Right.
In the meantime, life, love, and relationships. If you enjoyed the show today, share it with your friends so they can listen in to our conversations about life, love, and relationships. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Cinderella Chats, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to our Tuesdays together and know you will too.